Hello, and welcome back to the Jesuit Novitiate here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Thank you so much for watching our first video and for checking back in with us today for video number 2. Today, we are in the living room of the Jesuit Novitiate, and we have 5 more novices for you and 2 new questions. The questions are, how did you really know you wanted to enter the Jesuits? And what has been the biggest surprise of the novitiate so far?
Hi, my name is Aaron. I'm from North Central Wisconsin, and I think the first time I knew I wanted to be a Jesuit was actually when I was at a discernment retreat here at the novitiate and in this room. And I was sitting here with a couple of Jesuit priests and a couple of men in formation, and just listening to them talk, I observed how joyful they were and how happy they were to be Jesuits, and also how free they were, how that they were whoever they wanted to be, and they weren't putting on a show. And as I was sitting there, I fit right in, and I thought, I could do this. And now that I've actually entered, I think the thing that's most surprised me here at the novitiate is just the spirit of prayer that infuses life here. I think coming from a secular university, most of my prayer was personal in my room. And here, there's prayer before meals, there's prayer before you hop in the car, prayer before you go to the fair. And the day is punctuated by prayer. And that's a real blessing and something that is the best kind of surprise.
Hello, my name is Jesus. I'm a second-year novice, and there are 2 instances that confirmed it. The first was when I lived the very initial 8-day discernment retreat, which was in Puente Grande, Jalisco. When I lived that retreat, one of the things that the Jesuits started talking about was the service that they were doing with the people living in the rivers, literally in the banks of the rivers because they didn't own land, or they were working with maras or gangs. And to me, that service was the service that I always wanted to do. The other instance was when I was working at the corporation called Baxter Healthcare. I used to be an engineer for that company doing validations. And one night, about 3 in the morning, as I was working with a machine, it seemed like a very lonely place to be in this room, just cooked up in there. And the question came, and this question was, there's got to be something more to this than sitting in this room at 3 a.m. working with a machine that doesn't talk back. To me, those were 2 moments that kind of propelled me into saying, if I don't do this, I will regret it for the rest of my life. One of the things that was surprising to me was the fact that after going through all the experiments and how they provide life in different ways, having gone through the pilgrimage, the hospital experiment, the 30-day retreat, every single one of them brings life.
I'm Liam Brown. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I first met the Jesuits by going to a Jesuit high school, Marquette High School in Milwaukee. And I had a few of them as teachers and really looked up to them as role models. I got the chance to visit the house across the street, the Jesuit residence, and visit with them, and I really enjoyed being in their presence. And when deciding what I wanted to do after high school, I just remember one time praying, thinking about being here, being at the novitiate, being with a Jesuit, and I was filled with such joy that I knew that this is what I wanted to do. The thing that surprised me the most about coming to the novitiate is how willing people are to be their true selves. At Mass, even if people don't have any prior experience singing in front of others, they're not afraid to share their voices, and in general, people aren't afraid to bring their talents to the table, and they really act as if they're saying, I'm a person made in the image and likeness of God.
Hi, my name is Jim McGivney. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and a second-year novice. I knew I wanted to enter the society from talking to a spiritual director I had when I was out in Colorado. It was through him and my interaction with him that I really came to know a lot about Jesuit spirituality and the whole idea of finding God in all things. And listening to him talk and conversing with him about it really got me on fire for the society. The biggest surprise since I've entered the society of Jesus and entered the novitiate has been the Manresa days we have on Friday, where it begins Thursday night at dinner and ends at Mass on Friday. And it's a time for us to really look over our week and do an examine of how our week's gone. And for me, it's been very beneficial to just have that day to myself to really understand how God called me this past week and to look forward to the next week and how He's going to call me there.
My name is Tim Perrin, and I'm originally from Vermont. I first knew that I wanted to enter the Jesuits when I was at Loyola in Chicago. I was studying theology. As I was studying there, I met several Jesuit scholastics, people who were in training, and I knew that the Jesuits had a heavy focus on education and social justice, and that they also took vows of poverty and they lived in community, and that really appealed to me. The biggest surprise at the novitiate, well, that's a tricky question. There really was no big surprise for me. While I was here, basically the things that I thought would happen. There was ministry integrated with community time and prayer, and just getting to know the guys. So if I would say that there was one little thing that I didn't expect is the amount of freedom we have. The schedule isn't as regimented as I thought it would be, so there's extra time to go out with friends, go to the fair, go to a baseball game. So those little surprises have really made the novitiate extra special, and I've really enjoyed it.
Lord, teach me to be generous. Teach me to serve you as you deserve.
To give and not to count the cost.
To fight and not to heed the wounds.
To toil and not to seek for rest.
To labor and not to ask for reward.
Save that of knowing that I do your will. Amen.